What is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Paul.
Chris.
And Dave.
All right, so we're going to be talking about episode 3. We are down to 9 teams. Oh my God, guys, 9 teams. So it kind of starts off back at Belgium. Ugh. And Phil announces that they're all going to Morocco and Africa, where there's narrow streets everywhere, and it's basically a maze. How do you guys feel about them going to Morocco? Paul, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a huge difference, I feel, from their previous location in Belgium. It's a long trip. It's a completely different continent. Although I like Morocco a lot. It's a very interesting country. It's been around for many centuries. So I think it's very exciting. I don't know. I just like it a lot. Dave?
I actually really just enjoyed the fact that there was so much more to do, and we didn't spend a half hour of the episode just focused on a French fry race. We actually got to explore the country, see a lot more, see more of the locals and stuff like that. And they had a lot of challenges this week.
I definitely agree with you, Dave, on that. Especially, this was probably one of my favorite episodes just because it was so intense, and we got a lot of airtime with all the 9 teams. We got a lot of funny stuff. We got Team Wellstrong, Trevor and Chris talking about French or Spanish. Paul, French or Spanish?
I don't know, actually. I mean, Morocco has a very deep culture on its own. I know that much, and I believe they would speak French there rather than Spanish. I believe the French had it for a time, but Morocco itself has a very rich history.
Okay.
Way also interesting the fact to keep in mind too.
But there was also. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll go lag back and forth.
So they could speak Spanish, and they could also probably speak Portuguese because of just the location of Morocco. It's very close to Spain. It's also close to Gibraltar, so they could speak English. It's a very interesting location.
But there was also a lot of Arabic speaking today too.
It's majority Muslim.
So, okay.
So I kind of want to talk about Chrissy and Jen, Team Extreme. They were really struggling with the taxi driver. They didn't speak English, they didn't speak Spanish, and they didn't speak French. And I mean, they struggled a little bit. A lot of it was just mostly communication in this episode. So I think that was the biggest struggle. So let's talk about what the challenge was. So they have to travel by a taxi. They have to go to a fish port, and they had to stack the fish in a certain. They had to line them up properly. How did you guys feel about this challenge, Dave?
I definitely wouldn't want to do it myself. I'll tell you that much. That was the first thing I thought. I'm like, yeah, this looks like a fun challenge to kind of watch, but it's pretty gross. Especially whenever they got all their clues and they're like, this is too slimy to open. You just see Cody bite open the envelope. And he's like, well, yeah, do what you have to do.
Paul, what did you think about the fish port challenge?
I mean, I thought it was kind of weird. And I felt really bad for them because you saw Cedric kind of almost throwing up a little bit. I don't know.
He did throw up. He straight up said that he threw up all the food he ate. We just didn't see that on camera, thankfully.
Jesus Christ, it's a bit ridiculous, I think. But I mean, they got through it, all of them. So I gotta say they're proud. I think didn't one of the teams get there last? I think Christy and Jen ended up getting lost on their way there. So that was actually a big hinder to them on this race, although they did pretty well. So I guess it didn't really matter in the long run. What do you guys think about them getting there last? Were you surprised, Chris?
I wasn't really that surprised because they are the only female team left, and they kind of were struggling a little bit in the previous episodes, but they're kind of, I don't know. I feel like they kind of play the middle game a little bit. They're not too bad, but they're also not too good either. And they might come back around a little bit more in future episodes. And that's all I have on them, honestly.
I just want to say hey to Trop13 and hey to Patty in the chat. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up?
But I also want to talk. I'm sorry I skipped this before, but I want to talk about how all the contestants were at the airport. And I love the fact that Jessica and Cody are immediately talking with Henry and Evan. Team Yale and Team Big Brother talk to each other.
Well, they've been throughout the show, like they've been talking about them, and I watched some of the clips that were like exclusive to online. And one of the things that they kept on talking about were Henry and Evan and Team IndyCar. And they say they think that those will be the final three teams, and he's hoping to just battle it out between the three of them. So yeah, and it seems like it seems like Cody and Jessica seem to have like some respect for them, and like let's be honest here, like they are their biggest threat.
John Wright in the chat says that Cody speaking Arabic, that's pretty crazy. What did you guys think about Cody whipping out some Arabic in the taxi ride?
Jessica definitely was surprised. Did you see Jessica? Jessica was like, "Wait, you know how to do this? Like, you know how to speak this language?" It's crazy.
Dave?
I like to say what I say every week because watch Big Brother. Cody doesn't surprise me with anything he does. I expect all this from Cody. I just expect him to somehow be good at everything. But no, they gave some backstory with this one, and they said like it had to do with him his time in Iraq, and he had everything that he said all the skills that he has and everything that he does because of all this. It's all because of his time being a Marine. So makes sense.
Patty in the chat just said Marine Corps right as you were saying that. So yeah, that's exactly right.
So let's go back to the competition. So after they have to stack their fish, they now have to go find a gnome, and they have to speak to someone. Peace be with you. I guess that's what it was. And then after they find the gnome, they have to choose one of the two people in their team to zipline the gnome to, I believe it was 3 locations.
Yeah,
I believe it was 2 locations.
It was 2, right?
Yeah, they had to zip line it twice. Okay. But they had to find they had to find where to zip line, and they had to find the gnome, then they had to zip line it again, and then find it again. Technically, they had to find 3 places, but they zip lined twice.
Yeah. I thought this was very interesting. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but like the fact that we saw the violin team and Jessica and Cody and a couple of other teams like kind of like working together just to figure out like where to go. How did you guys feel about some of the teams working together? Dave, how did you feel about that?
I felt like that was it was weird, but it made sense. I mean, because the whole thing with the show is that I kept on saying this, I think like week 1 or whatever, everything relies on your partner. It's not a show that's meant to be done like totally alone. So it made sense why all 4 of them were just kind of collaborating just to get it done, because they knew that they had to get past this roadblock and then just go on with this. Any other thoughts on this one?
Paul, how'd you feel about this?
Yeah, I thought it was, again, very bizarre. I mean, like the fish thing was bizarre. The second thing was bizarre. I understood the belly dancing and the delivery later, but this one also just seemed weird with the gnome. I didn't really understand.
I can answer that for you, actually, Paul. All right, so we have like a little bit of this is my favorite part. I've been waiting for this the whole night. So we have like a little tradition here that was established like within the last 2 weeks, where Paul usually gives like a little history lesson of the location, but this time it's a little bit different. And Phil actually said, and I'm thinking this is why they did the challenge this way, is that they filmed Jason Bourne movies here. That's true. The exact spots that they filmed like one of the biggest chase scenes in Bourne Ultimatum. Chris knows this because I did a whole report on it. We're film majors. But anyway, the whole idea with the gnome is that's actually how like they filmed the camera shots during that scene. They actually put like a little camera on a zip line, and they just filmed it through. So I think that was maybe a little bit of an homage to the Bourne movies, and just because it was cool. And the whole thing of the Bourne movies, it's all about like the run, the chase, and the race.
Also, Patty has just informed me that they always do a gnome in The Amazing Race. Thank you, Patty.
Oh wow, that's actually pretty cool.
And thank you, Dave, for that film lesson.
That's actually very interesting, though, because maybe they use gnomes during this episode to get some of the shots too, especially like the low angle shots, or maybe like the running shots. Who knows what they do? But I mean,
it's quite possible.
That's possible. Yeah, that's very, very.
I just know I'm probably going to go on a Bourne binge now.
All right, so let's move on. So a lot of these teams are struggling, like just finding out where the gnomes are with the zip line. Jessica and Cody. Jessica was like, where's everyone going? And surprisingly, Cedric is taking the lead. How did you guys feel about Cedric taking the lead? I thought he was last. I got confused. I was like, wait, is he like? Did they mess up? Like, is he first? Like, did he not? Like,
see
how do you guys feel about Cedric?
The way that they edited that is like you see all the 4 teams working together, and then you just see Cedric slowly climbing over like the wall, and it's like, okay, so he's in dead last, then it jumps to a commercial, and I'm like, well, okay. They edited that in like such a way that you just had no idea where he was.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that, Paul? How'd you feel about that?
Honestly, Cedric and Sean were up and down this entire episode, and it was really fun to watch because you just like these other teams are pretty consistent in their spots. I felt when I was watching it, except for maybe that delivery challenge, maybe bringing some people back, unfortunately. But every time we saw them, they were in a different spot in the challenge today. It was very heart-wrenching if you were supporting them, which I know us three like them both. So
it's actually interesting that you said that all three of the teams were mostly in the same positions. I agree with you there, but the three teams that I found, like the three teams, our favorite teams, you guys already know, is Sean, Cedric, Henry, Evan, Jess, and Cody, my favorite team. But Jess and Cody, they stayed number one most of the way through. Then they started to after that whole run through the Gnome Challenge and all that stuff, they ended up kind of falling behind a bit. Henry and Evan stayed mostly the same, within the top three. And then Cedric and Sean, just like you said, they were all over the place.
Yeah, Cody and Jess. Cody and Jess.
All the other teams stayed mostly the same. Yeah.
Yeah, Cody and Jess ended up getting fifth in this. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was about to say that too, actually. I didn't want to skip ahead. But I definitely am this is what I said last episode recap. I wanted I wanted Henry and Evan to finally redeem themselves this episode. And I don't want to I know I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but they definitely redeemed themselves this episode. How do you guys feel about Henry and Evan, Team Yale, going from having 9 battles between the French fry race last episode to them knocking it out of the park in this one?
7 battles, and I was happy. I was ecstatic about it, honestly, because we discussed last week. Not everyone can move French fries on a dolly, Chris, but their strengths lie in the whole, and they're more intellectual people, and that's where their strengths lie. And this episode really highlighted all their strengths.
Okay.
So it was just really good episode to see for them.
Okay.
Paul.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Second.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. I'm not the least bit surprised though. I mean, they're a popular team. They gave them a lot of airtime first and second episode. So to me, it was very evident that they would do well in the challenges to come. And I think they'll get really, really far.
Okay, so after let's go back to the competition now. So after they get the gnomes, Cedric, trying to be sneaky, I don't know what he was trying to do. Was he trying to pretend like he had it in his bag, or was he holding it because he said he was trying to be sneaky about it, but I wasn't too sure what he was talking about. Did anyone catch what he was trying to do with the gnome?
He just didn't want to be
pretend
followed.
gnome.
That's what I took it as. He just didn't want to be followed by the other teams.
Because it could have got him further. I felt like it could have got him further if he pretended like he had it with. You know what I mean? Because once he didn't have it, everyone kind of knew the direction where he went to. So, I don't know. Do you guys think that if they didn't recognize it, that he would have not got last?
I mean, you have to remember, he was hugging around 50 pounds in his backpack, according to him. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm sure it's accurate.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Why did he decide to take his backpack on this whole thing? It was all the other teams, they just dropped their backpack with their partner.
Because he's
I don't understand the logic.
Because he's a man, Dave. That's why.
All right, so let's keep going on. So, they find out that Cedric doesn't have the gnome, and they go the direction where the place where the zip line is, and most of them succeed very well. And now they have to go and find a shopkeeper and say good morning in what was it in Arabic?
Yeah,
is that right?
In Arabic.
Yes,
in Arabic. But before they do that, they have to find coins in the gnome pouch, and they had to put the coins in the telephone. They had to hear a message, and then they had to tell the shopkeeper good morning in Arabic. So I thought that was interesting that the coins were in the gnome. I was confused what they were talking about because I was like, wait, did they get a pouch before, or how'd you guys feel about this little small challenge here?
Hold on, before that, Patty said in the chat, tall black guy trying to be incognito in Morocco.
That's funny.
It's just not gonna work.
It didn't work. It didn't work. We now have proof on TV. But the whole coin thing, I just found it funny again with Cedric because he's trying to fiddle for the coins, and then he's like, "Oh, they're here."
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of teams that were looking around for it. They were looking around for their coins. It was I guess it wasn't very obvious where it was, but
It wasn't, but I think that's why they made the choice.
yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about this was very interesting, this part. So, Jessica, this is the best part about this entire episode. So Jessica suggests to hold Brittany's gnome when she's making the call, and Brittany forgets her gnome. It was on the floor the entire time, and Jessica's like, you know what, let Brittany, Jessica didn't do it intentionally, but she definitely didn't go back and tell Brittany like, oh, you dropped your gnome here, because she wants to get further than Brittany. How did you guys feel about Jessica actually being a little sneaky and being a little more strategic about not telling Brittany about the gnome?
I mean, to me, it wasn't very sneaky because she kind of just rushed off after she said good morning, like without the gnome. Jessica was just like standing there, like, what am I doing now? So she just left it on the floor. She was just like, yeah, if I see her, I'm just not going to mention it to her.
It could bite her in the ass later on, though, because it's going to get a lot more competitive. Now, Brittany,
According to the chat, Kashawn Wright says, well, Jess said on the TV app that she and the lifeguards are not friends after the show because of what happened this episode.
Ooh, interesting.
Dave, thoughts on that?
Let's look at the last TV show they were on and how many friends they came out with who they don't really care, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. At least two.
I think. Wait, who just said that? Who said that in the chat?
Kashawn.
Yeah, so I think that's the TV party app that Jessica and Cody are talking about on Twitter. I know it's weird, but anyways, so so now they're trying to find the blue hallway where their other teammate is, and some of them had a hard time finding this blue hallway. Like this must have been a really annoying place to find just certain locations. How did you guys feel about them trying to maze their way and get back to the location that they originally were?
So Chris, by like you said, some of them had a hard time trying to find the hallway. Did you mean like just Cedric?
I have it right here. Cedric passes blue hallway.
well, hold on. Joey had a hard time. Joey and Tim, the first time with the blue hallway, had a hard time finding it as well. Remember, they walked into the hallway and then they walked out?
Yeah, they walked in and then walked out. But, I mean, my whole issue was...
They did that twice this episode.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
No,
I think they only did it once.
Well, they did, no. I think it was just that once. I could be wrong, but what I found ridiculous was, like, Cedric couldn't find it, but it's like you were already there. It's like you're just backtracking. Okay. But, oh well. I mean... I'm not there, I'm not running the race, so I can't say how, hard or not it is. But like from a viewing perspective, it's like this is a little ridiculous.
No, I'm fairly certain at the end of the race they also did that. Like they didn't they walk into the museum and then they walked out?
I thought that was Cedric and Sean.
I think they.
No,
I'm pretty sure that was. Oh. No, I didn't see that.
I don't think that was Cedric and Sean because Cedric and Sean were pretty good with directions after they reunited. But the problem is that Cedric got there too late, and that's what pretty much cost them.
Yeah.
People in the chat, remind me if it was Joey and Tim who at the end of the race they walked into the museum, saw the band playing, and then ran out and kept looking around or the palace rather, not the museum.
Okay, so let's talk about now. So this is the best part I like about Amazing Race is that each team gets to choose one task before they finish the race. And honestly, guys, I don't know why on earth they would choose to go to 3 merchants and carry a bunch of food over trying to find a 3-word phrase. How did you guys feel about some of them choosing the harder one over the easy one?
Well, what's hard and what's easy is subjective, I guess. I mean, the way that they broke it down, kind of, at least in my opinion, was like one's a physical challenge, one's mental. So,
but one takes a little bit more time. One takes way more time than the other 100, one, though.
100%. But again, like it's what we discussed last week, is we see which one takes more time, but they're not. We don't like they don't know which one they're going to get into, which one's going to be harder and which one's not going to be. Because I'm like, as the show goes on, I'm going to expect that there's going to be a physical challenge that's going to be easier than the mental challenge.
But even Cody kind of picked up on this too. Cody was like looking at the 2 options, and he's like, he was going to do the food challenge, and then he went back and he's like, no, this is going to be way too hard. It's going to take too much time, and we're going to do the belly dancing one instead.
Yeah, but they also mentioned the fact that Jessica was already, kind of like exhausted from running all around trying to with the gnome challenge too.
But aren't they all kind of exhausted after that entire, maze that they had to go through?
I 100% agree with you. I mean, last week it was a little hard to decide. I mean, I feel like, again, trying to put myself in their shoes, it was a little bit harder to decide which one would be easier. This week it's like, why didn't you pick the belly dancing one? That sounds a lot easier in every respect. But I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, saying they don't really know what they're getting into, which is true. They don't.
Well, how did you feel about that? Some teams picking the harder one than the easier one.
Well, I mean, it's very evident just based on results that the delivery was the hardest. Only because I believe that the last few teams that finished, just looking at it now, the last 3 teams that finished all did the delivery. And just thinking about this in like a logical way, and you guys already basically took it home with this, but delivery stuff just sounds tougher. Like it's not even about physical aspect or mental. It's more along the lines of, okay, I have to deliver stuff around town to merchants. That's going to take a while.
In a foreign country.
Yeah, in a foreign country, rather than belly dancing, which is just like, okay, it's in a single location, and it was just a lot simpler, I found.
Yeah,
I agree. All right, so let's talk about...
Patty says they didn't know exactly what challenge was, so sometimes physical activity is going to be easier. It depends on how tired you are mentally and physically. I understand that. I think, but you can make the decision to change afterward, like Cody and Jessica did. Like they read the directions, the very specific directions for what the delivery one was, and they're like, okay, screw this, we're going to switch. So you have to have like this kind of tactful way of thinking as well in Amazing Race, and we've seen.
Or we could do with the pair. Yeah, we could do what the Twins did last week.
Exactly.
I was about to say the Twins last week. Yeah. Right.
Do what the Twins did. Do what Cody and Jess did. Just switch.
All right. So speaking of the 2 challenges, clearly you guys were right on the money on this one. The people that chose the belly dancing one had to get the 3-word phrase. Anybody know what the 3-word phrase was? Because it's Mule Hafade Palace, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. So I honestly loved this part. Team Yale comes in first. I thought it was gonna be Alex and Connor the way they edit it, but that's what they do when they edit this Amazing Race episode.
It was a big race at the end.
It was really intense at the end, and I almost had a heart attack. And this is why this was probably one of my favorite episodes.
Wasn't this how you started off last week's video? Was I almost had a heart attack, and it involved Henry and Evan all over again?
I'm always gonna have a heart attack when it comes to Team Yale.
I probably have
always my favorite.
By the way, because Sean Wright in the chat said Joey did it at the pit stop and at the blue hallway. I don't know why you guys don't remember. It was a very
it was quick though.
I said I wasn't sure.
It wasn't quick. All right. Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyways, the episode only aired an hour ago.
Yeah, it only aired an hour ago, guys. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so anyways, Team Yale comes in first. They win a trip for 2 to Switzerland. How do you guys? I know I talked about this in the before, but how do you guys feel about Team Yale redeeming themselves this episode?
I told you it was awesome. Like it's exactly as it should have went. This whole episode highlighted all their strengths.
Switzerland is beautiful, and I hope they have an amazing time there.
As they mini golf.
Yeah, as they mini golf. And like Patty said, this episode was sponsored.
Oh, there goes Paul.
Oh, he cut out?
Yeah. Don't you love technology?
Is it bad? I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes.
No. Yeah, but
no,
like the whole thing.
Anyway. Go ahead, Dave.
So one question for you, Chris. All right, so just think. All right, Amazing Race, you win trips to other places. After doing this whole Amazing Race, don't you just want to be like, hey, can I just win a trip to my bedroom and just stay there for a week?
That's great. Yeah. I mean, but they have to do this. They never get a break though. So that's the thing about Amazing Race. It's nonstop.
No, they get breaks in between. After they complete the leg, they usually get a break, maybe something like 24 hours or whatever.
No, they automatically go. I think they automatically go to the airport, and I guess that's their break.
Well, no, they actually stop and take a rest break between the legs.
But between days, how many days? You can look that up. But
between each leg of the race.
Okay, that makes more sense, right?
That's what I mean.
The way they kind of edited the episodes and they recap it. I figured it was just nonstop because it's
no. I looked it up, and then on top of that, just like whenever you look at the beginning of the episode, it shows like what time each person in the race gets to start, and it's like a few minutes apart from each other.
okay. Paul just left. He'll come back. So
All right.
let's talk Alex and Connor. I didn't even know who they were until like this episode, so I'm glad they got a little bit more airtime.
Same.
And they got second place. And Team IndyCar. Again, I didn't even know who they were until this episode.
Oh, you see? Well, they're the IndyCar drivers.
And then Chrissy and Jen, they come in third place. And I like the fact that they're doing pretty good. Didn't they get like first and second place in the very first episode? Chrissy and Jen.
I don't think so. I think
they did pretty good.
I could have sworn.
They were the only female team, remember?
Yeah, no, they've been doing good, but I don't think they got first place. I could be wrong.
Maybe it was second or third. Tell us in the chat.
Yeah. Well, I know Cody and Jessica got second place in the first episode, if I'm right. Yeah, it was. But whichever.
Patty in the chat says they take the trip later on. So yeah. All right.
Repeat that, Chris?
Patty in the chat. I'm sorry. Patty in the chat says they take the trip later on. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and she also loves Henry. Thank you, Patty.
Well, no, I figured they take the trip later on, but it's like when you're like doing this, I feel like you don't even want to think about another trip, you know?
Paul's still frozen. What the hell's going on?
I don't know. So welcome to this part of the podcast where everything just has random Paul's frozen. There's like random technological problems here. And Chris, I think we should start wrapping up.
Okay, well, we only have a couple more teams left. So we got Trevor and Chris. We got the violinists. They come in fourth place. Cody and Jessica. I mean, they come fifth place. Cody kind of seemed a little down about everything too.
Sixth place, right? Cody and Jessica.
Cody and Jessica got fifth place.
My bad. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like they started off doing so well, and then this whole episode they slowly declined.
Yeah, it's kind of disheartening, but maybe again, just like Team Yale, they'll bounce back and they'll do better.
I think they will.
Not that it matters anyways, because this episode was basically just.
Not that they did bad in the first place.
Didn't even matter. Yeah.
I mean, they won the second leg of the race, and they did pretty good in this one. So I don't think that they're in trouble at all.
Okay. Joey and Tim come in sixth place. Eric and Daniel, the firefighters, come in seventh place. They haven't been doing that good either, Eric and Daniel. I'm hoping they achieve a little bit better in the later episodes. What do you think about Eric and Daniel?
They're the team I'm most disappointed with every episode. Yeah. It's like I expected so much more from them, but then they were doing pretty good the fish challenge, and then they came back, and then they again like continued my trend of disappointment in them.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Like they get very little airtime. We don't really know too much about them, and I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. Good or a bad thing. I think that it's a bad thing. I mean, the fact that we don't know much about them, they get so little airtime. I don't think that they're going to get far. I mean, and the way they're going right now, they're always in like the bottom of like all the races, of all the legs of the race.
Yeah. So then it comes down to Lucas, Brittany, Cedric, and Sean. And honestly, I do like Cedric and Sean, but I was rooting for Lucas and Brittany only because I'm dying to see like Brittany and Jessica like go like head to head, be like, whoa, like what happened, like. Because they're basically a force of antagonism between each other because of what Jessica did, which wasn't even that bad.
Again, no, it's not a big deal at all. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. It's like, look, hey, Brittany, you made a mistake. I'm not going to tell you about your mistake. You have to solve your own problem. Is what it is.
And then
but Cedric and Sean,
Cedric and Sean come in last place.
That sucked, but
they are not eliminated.
We'll see them next week.
They're not eliminated.
This week's so that's how it ended. This week is a non-elimination week, and the only thing that team that got eliminated.
An encountered speed bump.
A speed bump next week.
Encountered speed bump. I gotta say though, like the way they edited this episode, it seemed like Cedric and Sean were gonna be the eliminated players because we have Cedric talk about in his confessionals. I had 5 heart. How did you feel about that? He talks about how he has five heart attacks, but he's also on
3. It was 3 heart attacks, and he's 50 years old. I think that's awesome. I think that I don't think the heart attacks are awesome. I think that it's awesome that he's able to do what he's been able to do, and I'm happy to see that him and Sean will be able to go a lot further. And yeah, so like we said, it's a non-elimination week. The only thing that got eliminated this week was Paul from the podcast for some reason. I'm sure he'll be back next week. But yeah, no. And any closing remarks, Chris?
That's basically it. We recapped everything. I'm hoping next episode someone gets eliminated. I'm hoping. I didn't even know.
I pretty much. Well, no, I mean they do non-elimination weeks every now and then, and not for nothing. I mean, there's definitely someone's going to go next week. All right.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up.
All right. Thank you guys for watching Amazing Race. We're going to be recovering Amazing Race next week, next Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern time. We're going to be covering Celebrity Big Brother. We're going to be doing a cast analysis on that.
And most importantly, don't forget, we'll be covering a lot of stuff. But the point is,
we'll be covering
most importantly, subscribe. The subscribing is pretty important right now. And thumbs up the video if you like it. Thumbs it down if you don't. And we will see you next week. Hey, Paul.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
All right. Take care,
See
guys.
ya.